I am the daughter of a 32-degree Mason, and here's what I know. Okay, granted, I made the intro seem a lot more sinister and mysterious than what the video is really gonna turn out to be. Thing is, since I'm not a Mason, I can never actually know all of the secrets behind being a Mason, so as far as exposing them, not sure how that's gonna go. But I do have access to materials that most people, I assume, would not have, such as the manual, weekly newsletters, and these giant, dictionaries for words and concepts of the Mason practice. I don't know, they're huge, and I didn't read through the entirety of them, but I read through most of them, so leave me alone. And the most important source, my father and my grandfather, both Masons and both take pride in that status. So let's lay down the basics. Masons claim to trace back all the way to the building of Solomon's temple. This would have been in the 10th century between 907 and 930 BC. This is significant because King Solomon is considered the wisest man to have ever lived, according to the Bible and to many scholars. Masonry, as we know it, is the crafting of stones and bricks in order to build buildings, basically. The Freemasons take this idea and turn it more into a metaphor. There's Masonry in the practical sense, and then there's what the Freemasons practice, which is called, in their words, speculative Masonry. I don't know why. It won't tell me in the manual. I'll get to that. There are 33 degrees of Masonry. The 32nd is the highest you can reach as a layman. You have to be like a CEO or someone high up in the government to achieve the 33rd degree. After that, you become something called a Shriner. I don't know much about the Shriners. No one in my family is a Shriner, and they kind of keep themselves a little separate from the Masons. So even my father, who is way up in the ranks, so to speak, of Masonry, doesn't know much about the Shriners practice, but you might recognize them as the guys who stand on the side of the street with weird hats and collect money for charities. In my experience, it's usually children's hospitals. Each degree of Masonry is achieved basically by memorizing and then repeating / taking a quiz or test or answering questions about certain aspects of the Mason practice. You might have to memorize some passages out of here and then answer questions about it, or even recite it verbatim, and it can be something very long. So speaking of this lovely manual right here, you can tell I've been a bit busy in my research. Okay, please don't come after me being like,
you don't have any sources.
I have the ultimate source. Yeah, you can Google stuff and I could cite things that I find on Google, but at the end of the day, that stuff could be lying. This is the actual stuff Masons are given, so I'm only gonna trust this, not what's on the internet, because guess what? Sometimes on the internet, people say things that aren't true. Anyway, so I was very thorough going through this bad boy. This one was published in 1973, and it states that the Masons were officially established in 1735, which is a little different from their claims of tracing back all the way to Solomon's temple, unless they just liked that, and so they were like, yeah, we're gonna take the Solomon's temple thing and go from there. But depending on who you ask, and even Masons that you ask, some of them will say, oh yeah, they were Masons at the temple, and it's like, well, yeah, but were they just building rocks, or were they you guys in your secret little club? I don't know. Here's a few fun little quotes from a fun little book. Founded on ancient uses of their society, principles of which are charity and universal benevolence, to the end, therefore, that charitable institutions may be promoted. Next quote. Freemasonry is a beautiful system of morality, veiled in allegory and illustrated by symbols. And last, the design of Masonic institution is to make the members wiser and better and consequently happier, and this is accomplished by means of a series of moral instructions taught according to the ancient usage, by types, symbols, allegorical figures, and lectures. So, one fun fact about this little guy is that even though it claims to be the manual, there are still things hidden even from this. 2 things to know about this manual. 1, not everything that you need to know as a Mason is confined in here. And 2, some of the things that are written in here are written in such a way that I, someone who's not a Mason, can't understand it. I don't know what it is. I read through it, most of it seemed to make sense, but apparently there's symbolism and certain metaphors in here, or the way it's written, that needs to be decoded, and there's a certain cipher or decode system, I don't know, that you only learn when you become a Mason. So apparently I could read this all day long and still be just as clueless as when I started, and only know what a Mason would be willing to tell me anyway, so that's great. Since I could only get so far on my own, I decided to interview my grandfather, who's been a Mason for more than 50 years. Before I show you any clips of the interview with my grandfather, I will say that he did not want his face shown, which is why you can only see the background of his kitchen and his hands for most of the shots. He also tends to talk in circles no matter what he's talking about, so before anyone tries to psychoanalyze the interview and being like, oh, he was being evasive there, that's just kind of how my grandfather talks. He gets to his point. You just kind of have to pick through a lot of unnecessary details and side stories to get to his point. And then sometimes you have to just give up because he's never going to get to the point. Bless him. He's 91 years old. Give him a break. So what year or how old were you when you became a Mason?
I think I was 24. I'm not sure.
Okay, that's pretty young. So like what drew you into wanting to be one?
Well, I just had the feeling I knew some guys that was real guys, you know. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were real gentlemen, and if they told you something, that's the way it was.
Yeah.
And of course, it's not that way really anymore, not so much, but it's still pretty, it's an organization and I would say it'd be one of the greatest that I've ever thought about getting in or anything else, because a handshake or something that we do, that's the way it is. Mm-hmm. If I tell you I'm going to kill my dog, I'll just kill him.
What? What is that?
I mean, that's how realistic it is.
Oh. So you would say that in other places, even as far as Europe, it's still the same?
Yeah.
Like if you were to go to a lodge in France, they would practice the same things we do here.
Same practice, same routine, and everything. Well, it might not be exactly, but it'd be so close to it, you'd know where you was at when you stepped in the door. Yeah. But I could go from here to, say, France or somewhere and find a Masonic hall building, and I could they'd get me a place to stay, you know, if it come down to something like that.
Really?
And after I began to find that out, I'd been wanting to go to Canada, but I didn't never get to there till 30-something years later. But I just wanted to see if theirs was the same as ours, which it is nearby, because we've had them people to visit us at our lodge. Mm-hmm. And we've had, you know, people from the U.S., several of them over the years have been vacationing in the mountain, and if it happened to be our Masonic meeting night, well, they'll meet down there with us. It's a worldwide thing. Yeah. It's not just, you know, for Georgia or whatever.
How have the Masons changed over the years? Have you noticed any changes, or has it stayed the exact same since you started?
So little amount you don't even want to try to memorize all of it. You get your basic, and that's pretty well it right on down to the wind-up.
But the practices from the time you joined when you were 24 to now, you haven't seen any change, really?
No.
So one thing I saw in the manual that I was curious about was, so Dad told me that there's some things that aren't in here that are only spread through word of mouth, or that, you know, are secrets, so it's gonna be, I won't understand it, right?
Yeah.
But the Masons have they put a lot of value in charity, like doing charity work. Yeah. And taking care of each other. Yeah. But when I was going through the manual, when it got to the portion about charity, that part wasn't in the manual. It says charity. This section accounts rationally and in detail for the ceremonies of initiation, containing almost entirely esoteric work. It cannot be written. If Masons put such an importance on charity, why is it in their own manual it's claimed to be esoteric, which essentially just means confidential, and can only be spread through word of mouth? So how do they keep up with it? Are there other forms of literature that have it written down that they maybe keep locked up in the lodges or the temples? I don't know, but it seems interesting to me that charity seems to be the foundation of the work of Freemasons, and yet they leave it out in their simple manual for a beginner.
Well, it's not exactly a secret, but they try not to go about. They check out different charities. Okay. And they will not support something that is evil or something like that, or even like it. They don't like to support a beer joint or something like that. There's no lesson in there to tell you they don't, but they don't.
Okay. So when you were deciding to join the Masons when you were younger, right when you were about 24, you didn't know a lot about it because they do have their secrets, right?
No, I didn't know nothing about it other than the guys that I knew and worked around and worked with. Some of them were Masons, and I would try to find out about it. Yeah. But after I found out that it wasn't supposed to be let out to ever Tom, Dick, and Harry, it just guy that was good people has got picked to go on to it, and then after you get in it, well, if you don't like it, you can come out.
Yeah.
But most people don't join it just to be a doing. But some join just to be up in further in society to make themselves a better job or something like that.
Okay. So, because my question was gonna be, what is the incentive to join, a society or like the Freemasons if you don't know much about it, if they have so many secrets? Like, I want to know everything about something before I commit to it, right? Yeah. So what is the incentive to commit to something if you don't know everything about it?
Well, that's just it. That's just about the reason Masonry is a secrecy.
To keep people from wanting to join it?
Yeah, they don't want everybody in there that's...
Well, they have to vote for people to be in there, though. They can always vote them out.
And you have to vote them in, you have to vote them out, too.
Yeah.
If they don't stand up to their oath,
yeah,
you take an oath on the Bible when you're in there.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't stand up to that and another Mason hears about it and gets it back to the lodge and it's proved, out he goes.
Yeah.
In other words, if they catch him running around with the Mason's wife or know about it, so long, Joe.
Yeah.
Because he broke his oath.
So the Masons aren't up to no good, right? They're a good organization, obviously. I don't think you would be a part of it if it was a bad thing, right?
Right.
Like you and it goes with the Bible. It's not anything satanic or idol worship or anything.
Exactly.
And they do good for the community. They do charity work and all that. And they take care of each other. From what I've read, like the brothers in the lodge, they take care of each other.
Yeah.
If it's all good, what do you benefit from having secrets? Like
you benefit it to in your heart
to have secrets. Like what I'm saying is, if you have nothing to hide, if there's no bad intentions of a Mason, then why do they have secrets if they have nothing to hide?
Oh, well, let's think a minute. You'd have everybody wanting in that just wanting to step up to another job. Better job. I know, Joe Blow, can you get me in over there?
So one question I had when I was, reading through the manual, and it talks about the, importance of the Bible.
Yeah.
The Holy Bible's open for every meeting. They open a meeting with prayer, end it with prayer. They have, There's even like hymnals in here, and taking care of each other, doing charity, just serving the Lord is like basically the main purpose.
Exactly.
So what's the difference between being a Mason and just being someone who's a part of a church and is very dedicated to serving the Lord in all of those same capacities? Because churches are supposed to take care of each other, like in that way, the way the Bible talks about caring for widows and caring for people who are your brothers and sisters in Christ. What's the difference between that kind of thing and then being a Mason?
What's the difference? The difference is that man wanted to go and wanted to learn more about God.
You can't learn some of that outside of Masonry?
Not that we have in there. But he's wanting to learn how much we know about God and how about getting there to that point of, Masonry, the top edge of it, like going on to be a Shriner. You get the basics in the third degree of knowing what God does and what He means to you because you done swore to it.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, any outsider, they'll never know, and you ain't supposed to ever tell them. If they want to learn, they'll have to come and get them an application, and some Mason has to take that application and get three more Masons to sign it before they'll even let him enter.
So
see, there's that much difference in that and being a church goer.
What I'm saying is, so is there something about God that the Masons know that other people who are not Masons don't know?
No, He's the same God to everybody.
This is the only question that I feel like my grandfather kind of danced around on purpose, not just because that's how he talks. Whenever I asked him if the Masons know more about God, he said they did, but when I asked him straight out, he said no, and then kind of talked in a circle for a little bit. Okay, so like I said, someone who lives by, say, the same moral compass that a Mason lives by, taking care of others, serving the Lord with all his heart, is there something he doesn't know because he's not a Mason? Is there something about the Bible or about God that is exclusively knowledge that only Masons have?
No, it's right in there, and he's got the same reading that we have.
So back to my question then, so is there a difference between that person outside of they're just not a Mason? If that person serves the Lord, takes care of others, is charitable.
He's as good as that Mason is if they're both serving God under the same principles.
So again, what is the incentive to be a Mason if you can just be a part of a church and serve the Lord in that capacity instead of, having to go to lodge meetings and paying dues and things like that?
I never thought about it like that. Because I try to be the same to everybody.
Yeah.
But anybody that tries to do me dirty, I don't have to do them dirty. I can just tell one of my Mason friends if it goes that far, and he'll lay out a few of his teeth or something like that.
Careful.
You'll have to blink that out. But anyway, there's no difference as far as them are going to church. Now, like I say, our pastor, he's not really against Mason, but he says, I just don't like to. Somebody told him years ago, and he told me this one time, me and him were just talking. He said, they told me it's a type of a cult. Mm-hmm. And I said, you're wrong there, or they're wrong that told you.
Why do you think so many people speculate that Masons are evil, part of a conspiracy, or a cult? Why do you think so many people believe that who aren't Masons?
Masons don't never believe in nothing evil.
No, I know. I'm not talking about the Masons. I'm saying why, if the Masons do good things, right? Yeah. Why do outsiders view it as evil? Like, why do you think someone sees the Masons?
I've asked that questions to big Masons that's been to the top and back down. They says there's no answer to some of this stuff.
There's no what?
No
answers. No one knows, like no Mason knows why people believe that?
Yeah.
Do you think it's because there are secrets and people don't like the unknown? Like if there's something being hidden, people are going to assume the worst. Like, oh, they're hiding something bad.
Yeah. Well, that's just human nature.
Yeah. Is there a punishment for revealing secrets of the trade? Would you be punished if they found out you revealed secrets?
You just get turned out.
They just kick you out?
You just not, you won't let you in anymore.
So you already kind of answered this question, but I'll go ahead and ask it just in a different way. I was gonna ask you, so why are there secrets? Because like you said, it's a good thing. Being a Mason is a good thing, and they do good things. But I'm guessing the reason there are secrets is you said something earlier is that you don't want any and everybody wanting to become a Mason. So
right.
So that's basically the reason.
That's what I was told when I went in, and I'll just tell it again if anybody asks me.
Yeah. Basically, it's just to keep people who are just joining it for bad reasons away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I know a guy now, he's a Mason, but he just went in it to get to be rub elbows with a rich dude and get work from him. I mean, he don't never go to lodge, and he ain't never done nothing for charity as I know of.
Yeah. Is it also just kind of fun to be a part of something secret?
Yeah.
Is that kind of it's just fun to have your secret handshakes and your little phrases you can say to each other that no one else understands? Is a code.
It's lots of fun. I've had people to pick me in every manner to see if I was a Mason or not, but they'll know right away that I am.
So basically the secrets, it's not that it's anything sinister, it's just that you kind of want to keep bad people out of it, and it's for fun. Kind of a fun thing to be a part of, a secret club, I guess.
Yeah, that's it, and to tell some of the stuff that happens, it's just because of men that having fun of doing it. So it's just a fun thing, a big fun thing, and it can happen to the millionaire or the poor man like me.
Yeah. Also, after interviewing my grandfather, I thought it would be appropriate to take a little trip down to the Masonic Lodge in Atlanta. Hello. I feel like Joanna Cedia with her tiny little mic, except this is weird. Talking into a Nokia phone. So we're on the back side of the building. It looks like a prison. Just take a gander, I don't know who's trapped there, but if you need help, wave something out of your hole, please. It's
probably us. We're going to be detained there. This was built in like 1906 and then caught on fire in 1950 and then was replaced with a parking garage somewhere. I don't know where. And then now there's this one built sometime around 1950. And I'm so scared I'm going to get shot point blank from in there. So I'm going to... 1690. There's a freaking light on. There's like a robe. That's about it. It's a robe with like a sash almost. Yeah. You see it to the right? To the right. The sash is like white. You see it? It's nothing really special. It's like just their lockers when they change clothes for their meetings. So they all look super fresh. Hello? Oh, it's a van. Okay, we need to go. I'm so scared. I'm not even kidding though. I swear when I was up there, I heard someone laugh inside.
No, that was me.
Are you sure?
Yeah, you literally said that a second after I left.
This is the lodge that both my father and my grandfather both did like their initiation and then like rising through the ranks of their degrees. So there's the Scottish Rite and the York Rite. My dad is in the Scottish Rite. I asked him why and what the difference is, and he was like, I don't know, I just wanted to be in that one. So I guess they go through those blue doors and the Yorks go through the other blue doors. My grandfather, when I talked to him, swears up and down that it's nothing weird. And there's like different ranks, and so there's like masters who are just basically people in charge of like the meetings. But there's someone called the Worshipful Master, which I'll talk about more in depth outside of right here.
The Worshipful Master is basically like the head of the lodge. He's the highest up in the rankings. Why is he called the Worshipful Master? When I asked my grandfather and my father, both of them could not give me an answer, despite the fact that my father himself has had the title of Worshipful Master. Never thought to ask what that meant, or why the title was what it is. Essentially, the job of the Worshipful Master is described as follows. As the sun rules the day and the moon governs the night, so should the Worshipful Master govern the lodge with equal regularity. So, sounds a little spooky in the beginning, but if you think about it a little more, basically it just means that the Worshipful Master is just to be in charge at all times, like very regularly and consistently.
Well, they also call God the Great Architect. And now here, holding my camera. Do you want me to not say your name?
Don't bring me into this.
I'll use a fake name. My buddy Chad here informed me that Satanists also refer to Satan as the Great Architect. Love that. But they refer to God as the Great Architect. Is it a coincidence? Maybe. Chad is acting very shady about it. Shut up! We're not allowed in. Thought we would be on a day off. Hello? Last time I never got a voicemail. It just kept ringing. You know, like when you call someone and a song would play?
Oh, yes.
What kind of song would the Masons play for their ringtone? I'll keep you my dirty little secret. Alright, fine. Screw you. Because it says on their website that you can come in on their days off and they have like a museum and a gift shop. Did you know that? A gift shop. You can buy some Mason goodies. I mean, how sinister can a group be if they have a gift shop? So all of the lodges in Georgia, so this is like the main one, other than the one in Savannah, Georgia, which was I think the first one, and it's huge. I've never been there. This is like the main one for the state of Georgia, and there's a bunch of different lodges all throughout, like hundreds of them all throughout the state, and they all, Masons pay dues to their lodge. That lodge pays dues to this lodge, and this lodge pays dues to the one in DC, which is like the main one for the country. Fun little club.
The information I was able to gather on what a meeting as a Freemason in the lodge or the temple, wherever, is like, it's basically what my dad told me and what I read in the manual. They start off with a prayer, and the prayer is very specific and must be repeated verbatim. The prayer is, "Most holy and glorious Lord God, the great architect of the universe, the giver of all good gifts and graces. In thy name we have assembled, and in thy name we desire to proceed in all our doings. Grant that the sublime principles of Freemasonry may so subdue every discordant passion within us, so harmonize and enrich our hearts with thine own love and goodness, that the lodge at this time may humbly reflect that order and the beauty which reigns forever before thy throne. Amen." And the other Masons in the lodge, instead of repeating amen, say, "So mote it be." I don't know, can never find an answer for that, to be honest. Hello? That is disgusting. You are sounding so disgusting right now. The meeting basically consists of them going through their daily agenda. They donate to a lot of charities, so they will check up on each charity. They'll check up on the donations, how much they've donated over a certain amount of time, who donated what, just so they can keep track of it. And if someone in the lodge is having trouble, or someone maybe passed away and now their wife and children are left, the Masons will then donate money to them and donate services and help with food, things like that, and just take care of that family in general. So they kind of just go through their job, so to speak, of being Masons, which according to their manual is being charitable and taking care of others and serving the Lord. Essentially what the church should be doing, but instead they just call themselves the Freemasons and have some fun little secrets that they won't tell us. So you're probably wondering what that symbol means that Masons wear, as rings or stick on their truck as a bumper sticker. Side note, only men can become Masons. Any man, whether he's poor, rich, black, white, Asian, doesn't matter. You can be a Mason, but you have to ask a Mason. A Mason will not ask you, and you have to have 3 Masons suggest you, do paperwork or something, and then you have to be voted in. But anyway, women cannot be Masons, but they can be what is called the Eastern Star. That is a branch of Masonry that is specifically for women. However, you cannot become an Eastern Star unless you are related to a Mason. So I could become one if I wanted to because my father is a Mason. And my mom could become one because she is married to a Mason, but a random woman walking down the street who has no relation cannot become an Eastern Star, to my knowledge. What goes on in there? No idea, because my dad's not a woman, so he's never been in there. Same with my grandfather, they both just kept out of it, I guess. 3 major symbols to Masonry, or what they call the lights, would be the Bible, the square, and the compass. Now you see the square and the compass in their actual logo, so to speak, and in the middle is a G. Can you guess what the G stands for? God, kind of. It technically stands for the Great Architect, but that is what they call God. That's what the symbol means, that's it. Mystery solved, there you go, I exposed that. And then also the all-seeing eye is not a part of the Illuminati, supposedly, from what I was told by my grandfather, my father, and by the manual. Well, the manual didn't say anything about the Illuminati, but basically it just said that the all-seeing eye also is a metaphor for God, that he's always watching and always seeing your actions. So there you have it, everything I know about the Freemasons after painstaking research and interviews and sleepless nights. I'm over it, okay? I'm done. I don't want to talk about it anymore. This isn't a conspiracy video. There's no conspiracy, just facts, okay? Facts. This is what the Masons claim themselves. This is what their literature claims as far as I'm allowed to read and understand. So there you have it. I hope I answered some questions. I don't know. I feel like I left this with a few more questions than I had in the beginning. And I came to this conclusion that I think a lot of you will disagree with me on. Maybe not after watching this video. But honestly, at this point, it kind of just seems like a club, dude. I know it seems very strange that they have a lot of lodges literally all over the world, temples that they've built all over the world, and they have these secret meetings with these secret handshakes. But if you look at it like kids who build a fort and then it says, no girls allowed on the outside, and they have secret handshakes and secrets that they don't tell anybody, and you get kicked out if you tell those secrets, it kind of just seems like what kids do for fun, except the men didn't want to give it up. They wanted to have some fun, but that also still worship the Lord and be good guys, so it's just the Boy Scouts for adults mixed with church, mixed with having fun being in a club where only you know certain things like handshakes and little passwords, but it doesn't really seem sinister to me anymore. I know I acted like a fool when I was in front of the lodge, but it's just because it gives a creepy vibe. But maybe that's on purpose. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I hated making this. It took way too freaking long, and it's why I didn't post for so long on my channel. 3 o'clock in the morning. If you have any questions, please direct them to literally anyone else. I'm out of answers. That's it. This is all I got. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
My foot in my